Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Vanguard Knives Mini Cleaver. This right here is a Tuff Knives design. I love Jeff's work. He's such an artist through and through. So like I said just now, this is the Mini Cleaver. I would love to see a full-size cleaver. This one's coming in at 6.81 inches overall. It has a 2.93 inch cleaver blade of Bowler M390 stainless steel. So this one's going to be legal in areas with 3 and under blade laws. You have a beautiful raw stone wash finish there that should hide wear very well. And you have a swedge right here, and then it stops right here, and then you have the swedge up here by the front to add a nice visual appeal in my opinion. And because of that extremely low tip and the fact that you have belly, this blade shape should be very versatile. We're going to find that out in just a second. Now I'm guessing because it's a cleaver, they went with pretty thick blade stock as you see here at 0.14 inches. And you have a flat grind. It's like a mid-height flat grind. Comes down decently thin, and I was actually kind of surprised. I was thinking it was going to be super thick, but it comes down to around 20 thousandths behind the edge. And my particular knife came with a 24 degrees per side edge bevel. Let's see what this thing can do. I thought the knife came with a pretty good edge out of the box. Not the best I've ever had, but I would call it a good edge. Feels like it's got some bite to it. And these in-hand cuts is one place this one's going to shine because you don't have a ton of belly. And it's slicing fairly well. You know, as long as you got a good sharp edge on it, it's going to slice well. It's going to definitely perform better once I put my own edge on it. I mean, that's always the case. It doesn't really matter what the knife, what company it is. After you sharpen it a few times, it's the edge retention is going to jump up dramatically, usually, and especially if I decide to lay this edge bevel back. Now, this is where it kind of got weird. You know, light duty, not a big deal. I am choked up a little bit, but it still felt a little awkward because I couldn't get a lot of force sitting behind that flipper tab because I got 3.5 fingers on the scales. So I don't know if I actually show it, but yeah, right there. Okay, so I swapped over. Now I'm holding my index finger over the flipper tab, and it was way more comfortable than I ever thought it would be. And that completely took care of the issue I was having before. And as you can see here, this is where I could tell the knife had some bite to it. You got just the right amount of belly. I mean, just the right amount of belly to be able to do these cuts on a flat cutting surface. Because of that flipper tab, you're going to get about half of the blade by the tip onto the flat cutting surface before you come in contact with that flipper. But that is more than enough to get this done. And I'll be honest, I probably wanted to lift this one up on a block just because my hands are just destroyed. But I wanted to make sure it could do this before I said it could. You know, I'm not going to just tell y'all it can do something and it really can't. But yeah, I would say it did okay on the scissor rope. Nothing to write home about, but better than some knives that I test for sure. That's another place that's going to shine right there. They're doing the drag cuts because you got that low tip. That's why I threw an extra one in there. And unfortunately on this one, I ran out of the denim. I have it on order right now. Should be here any day. So I added some extra tubing. I think I added 3 extra pieces of tubing, different sizes than I normally do. And then I cut an extra piece of the corner cardboard to make up for it. But yeah, all in all, I thought it did good. I'd like a bigger version. I thought it performed pretty good. Now, it's probably going to perform way better once I slap my own edge on it, but I'm okay with the way it performed out of box. Now let's take a look at the deployment on this one. You have a very minimal flipper tab with jimping here and here. This is more of like a light switch type deployment. You got this nice little scoop right here. I mean, you don't even have to think about it. You just put your finger in there, pull back, and it comes out. Of course, being that that blade has a good bit of mass to it, once it breaks that detent, that extra mass carries the blade the rest of the way. And being that it's riding on ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball, it gives it a nice smooth action, nice snappy action. Sometimes I can reverse flick, but the stone wash made it a little bit difficult because it's a smoother finish. But every now and again, I'll pinch the spine and open it like that. You can kind of load up if you want to do a push button. If you grab a hold of the corner right here, not really here because I can't even really push it out like that. But on that corner, you can load up and get it a little bit faster. But in my opinion, it's way more comfortable and second nature just to come this little cutout right there. Now let's close it up and take a look at this beautiful milling on these titanium scales. That's what kind of attracted me to this one. I think it looks great. It provides the perfect amount of texture. It's got a light, like bead blasted finish. It's a great finish on it. You have these large chamfers, and I like how they're like sectioned like that because of the way this handle comes. There's just a lot going on, and it draws my eye in, and I can't look away. The ergos on this one were good for the majority of the things I did in my testing. Now, whenever I got to the actual ergo testing, whenever I am doing the wood shaving, when I got to like the moderate pressure, it started feeling awkward. Well, because of the way this flipper tab is set up, it comes back a good ways. So even though this handle's around 4 inches from the butt to here, you also have the butt end of the knife curved in to go with the lines of the blade. Well, that is also going to shorten up this handle. So if you're choked back behind the flipper tab, I get about a 3 1/4 grip on it, and I have a medium-sized hand. And that is because from the back of the flipper tab to this point is only 2.83 inches. If you let your finger hang off and sitting on this back portion, which that's kind of how it goes anyway, it's 3.33 inches. Well, even with this grip where I'm back, I just don't feel like I have a bunch of control, and it started to get a little uncomfortable. Now, I was thinking during the cutting, I was like, man, I wish this was flattened so I can, easily get it. Well, I was like, let me just try it. Let me wrap my hand like this. Well, because of the way this handle is up right there and me locked in, this was really comfortable. And this is how I finished that. And whenever I was like this, I was able to get a ton of force into the wood, and I was taking off massive chunks. Choking up like that was the only way for me to be comfortable and to be able to get as much force as I needed to get into the wood hard. So that's why I said in the beginning, I hope we get to see a full-size cleaver because I love the overall aesthetics of this one. I know some people hate cleavers. I personally don't. I love the versatility of them. So, of course, in the pull grip, it's comfortable, but you will feel the jimping on that flipper tab. So it's not the best. And reverse grip, I just don't have enough. I don't have enough space, and I don't feel comfortable wrapping my finger like that. That's just not comfortable. So if you flip it up right here, you can see you have a titanium backspacer that it's interesting the way you got chamfers on both sides. It looks like it's rising up out of the scales because of the way this handle dips down right here. The centering is perfect right down the pipe, and you're getting the max amount of blade you can, pretty much a 1-to-1 blade ratio without coming in contact with that tip. See how close that tip is? At first I was like, ooh, I might accidentally come in contact with that. Nope, they did a great job. Because they took this backspacer up like that, it is sitting right up in top in front, so you don't have to worry about coming in contact with that tip at all. You have the same beautiful milling on the reverse side. Your hardware, you have Torx TA construction throughout. Blind screwed mill tie pocket clip. That is tip up right hand carry only, unfortunately, for my lefties. Now, I'll say this until we start seeing more companies do it. You have this beautiful micro milling. Absolutely stunning. But you had to break it up because they put the lock relief on the outside. Why? Why do that? Put it on the inside, then this beautiful micro milling doesn't have to be broken up at all. Now, this pocket clip is sitting on top of that milling. Over time, yeah, it probably will start to shred your pockets, but it's not sharp, so it'll probably take a little while. So, of course, it's not a deep carry clip. You got enough ramp underneath there to go over the seam of my pockets. I don't have any super thick seams on mine, so I guess it's just going to depend on the type of jeans you carry. But just listen, you can kind of hear it go over that milling. See, I'll lift it up toward the mic. So not terrible, like I said. And that's all you really have sticking out of the pocket. Now, I'm not a lanyard guy, but I do think that being this is a mini and how restricted you are on the handle, I think it would have definitely been smart to put a hidden lanyard pin in the back somewhere, just so, you know, people with large, extra large hands, they could have a little bit extra to hold on to. Well, let's take a look at the inside. They did whatever they could to bring the weight down as much. Look at the pocketing on the show side, and you have some on the back side right here of the lock side and at the back right there. That's a lot of titanium and a chunky blade. They still managed to keep the weight to 3.4 ounces. You know, that's a good bit for a smaller knife like this, but I still think it was more than manageable in the pocket. Your balance point, that's pretty impressive. The frame lock is at about 40 to 50% or so. I'd say 50%. Access to the lock bar is excellent. This comes down a little bit lower. You got a nice chamfer right there. It's nice and comfortable for me to get the tip of my thumb, but y'all know I use this portion majority of the time. It's nice and comfortable whatever way I do it. The lockup on this one, that's one thing I can say about Vanguard. The locks are super solid. No movement in any direction whatsoever. This one has a nice bank vault lockup. Quick size comparison. As you can see, it's smaller than both the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. And it's just a little shorter than the Spyderco Power 3. And it's just a hair longer than the Benchmade Mini Grip. And it's just about identical in length to the Concept Loki and the Quiet Carry Drift. And lastly, I just happened to have this one out. It's pretty much identical in length to the Drop.com Nurse. And it's just a hair longer than the Tyconic Tycom 1. Now, we all know no knife is perfect. What are my nitpicks and complaints? First, there's no lefty love. Doesn't affect me, but of course it affects my lefties. And like I said, I really hope we see a full-size cleaver because this one is a little short. You know, I think it would have been awesome if this would have been a little flatter, just so it was even more comfortable to choke up like that. You know, I think it's perfectly fine, but, you know, it could always be better. And I know we already said it. I really, really wish this lock bar relief cutout was on the inside. And being that there's no flat spot underneath this pocket clip that's sitting on top of this texture, eventually that will become a pocket shredder. So what are my final thoughts? I love the overall design. I love seeing Tuff Knives' take on certain designs. I think he has such an artistic talent, and so far I've liked everything that I've gotten that was designed by him. I've even got to handle a few of his customs. They were all awesome. Now, this is not a cheap knife by any means. It's coming in at $270. I understand there's a collaboration here, so, you know, I'm sure he gets paid on sales of this as well. There's tons of milling there. The tolerances seem to be nice and tight. I think it's a very attractive knife. It's definitely far cheaper than getting a full-on Tuff Knives custom knife. But at that price point, that's a decision you have to make for yourself. I always say, you know, once it gets past that threshold, usually over the $150 mark, then it's really going to depend on if it's well built, which this one is, if the design really does it for you, materials do it for you, and nothing I talked about as nitpicks or complaints or deal breakers for you. However, if you are interested in picking up one of these, if you want to use my links that help support the channel, if not, no sweat at all. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep those blades sharp, smile more. Peace.